4. Okay, so we do have a quorum.
Yeah, we are good
Okay.
to go when you're ready.
All right, good morning. This is the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board meeting of June 5th, 2025. Present at the meeting are
Howard Trish.
Nicole Fragnito.
Julia Marshall.
Jeff Romano.
Hillary Donahue.
Amber Dillon.
And Kate Auwetter.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of May 15th, 2025?
So moved.
Is there a second? Any modifications to the minutes? All in favor of the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? The minutes are adopted. Okay, the board will now conduct the public hearing on today's agenda. First, the applicant or applicant's representative will be invited to describe the proposed scope of work and to present any material or documentation regarding the proposal to the board. Next, persons wishing to speak in favor of the proposal will be given the opportunity to address the board. Then persons who wish to speak in opposition will be allowed to address the board. Finally, the applicant or representative will be given the opportunity to make closing comments to the board. Following public comment, the board may vote to approve with conditions, or deny the application just heard. The board may also decide to hold its decision until the next public hearing. If the hearing is closed, no additional information will be allowed into the record except for the information that the board may request. That information will be available for public review with board staff. Kate, could you now introduce the first application?
Sure, good morning. The first application is CA-25-16. It's a certificate of appropriateness for 416 Sedgwick Drive. It's for chimney repair as well as a chimney removal. The property is in the Sedgwick Highland James Preservation District.
Please introduce yourself and give us your address.
Hi, I'm Andy Holtzberry. I'm the owner of 416 Sedgwick Drive, my wife Victoria Spinanger. The scope of the project is that our main chimney here has deteriorated heavily, and it's beyond a mere repointing. And masons that I've requested to come out and take a look at it have encouraged me to. They're thinking that what it would need to be done is to dismantle it down to the roof level, and then rebuild it. The plan right now is to reuse as many as those bricks. Some bricks, as you can see, are beyond, but they're going to try to save as much as they can. And he has a stock of as identical bricks as he's able to manage to rebuild it in the as close to the original as possible. So, and as I said, we're planning on demolishing it or dismantling it down to the roof line, rebuilding it as close as possible to the existing roof. And then I guess I can move on to the second chimney, unless there was any questions that going there. So the second chimney, it's not currently being used. It was used for a water heater that's gone, PVC and old kitchen stuff. So the other part that might be, the brick's a little bit different, but perhaps you might be able to use some of this brick to at least keep it sort of consistent. So the plan with this one is to demolish it below the roof line, and then interiorly we're going to remove it because it comes. The good part with this one, to some degree, I guess, is that it's not seen exteriorly on the other side of the house. I may not have a photograph of that, so it's not seen. It's all interior. So when that's gone, it's in the back of the house. It's not really seen. It's obviously not an attractive main part of it. But again, so that's the scope of the project. Any questions? Or?
Thank you. Any questions? Comment?
Who's the mason you got to look at it?
Pardon me?
Who's the mason you got?
Block solid masons. So it's interesting because obviously, anyways, it's depending on market. I called several folks, and it was oddly enough that two of them suggested that whatever. They said, I probably can't deal with it, but have you talked to Chris? And I said, oh, yes, I did. So I'm hoping that works out well. So I've heard good things from other masons. It was sort of interesting, one of the masons, they offer a drone service, so that's why you got sort of the interesting, or whatever, pretty nice photographs. So they come out and they do shots for you.
The only comment I'll make is that, you know, I applaud that you'll reuse the brick that you can, and you'll take some of the brick from the other chimney because it's weathered the same, so that helps, is for the mason to be cautious in terms of the mortar and in terms of matching the color, and using the right type of mortar. It tends to be, in newer restorations, they use a harder mortar, and
It's going to fail.
that's not necessarily what you want. You want to match what's there, because it's lasted that long, and
Yes.
it makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm going to be sharing, Kate shared with me the Department of Interior.
The
technical
technical
brief.
Right.
Okay,
So
That
it's
would-
been shared with him. He's familiar, he's done, I don't know, full experience with historic type things, but
Perfect.
he was speaking like he knew what he was doing, and I'm certainly hoping, and I will be working with him just to emphasize all of
Okay.
those points that were in the document.
because that's the biggest mistake they make, and
Sure.
they use a more modern mortar type, and that actually is harder but does not last, and it will be detrimental to the rest of the chimney. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the surface between the brick is
Stucco.
parged, and you're
Yeah.
going to come back and restore that same color?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And it's probably, I don't know, but from, you can see it's flaking off. It looks like it might have been possibly white in the past. So the thought right now is he's going to stucco it, possibly not with doing color in it, but we'll have the full thing repainted in a very similar color for the full thing, so it's consistent.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there persons who would like to speak in favor, like to come forward? Anyone who wants to speak in opposition? Okay, no one? I guess we can close the comment period. Any comments?
Just looking at it, it's a pretty straightforward project. He's referencing the proper maintenance procedures and technical briefings. I know Chris, he's a pretty solid guy, and I take no issue. So if there's any other comments, I'd like to approve the application as submitted.
If no other comments, could someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion or modifications to the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
And this would be eligible for the tax credits as well, so. I'll send you that paperwork, yep. Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Kate, would you like to introduce
Yes.
the next
The
project?
next one. This is CA-25-12. It is a certificate of appropriateness for 350 Montgomery Street, AKA Misbah Tower. This is for door as well as window replacement. The property, Misbah Towers, is located in the Columbus Circle Preservation District.
And I would like to just tell the board that I'm recusing myself, but I can still make comment, but I will not.
You recuse from the vote?
Right.
Yep, yeah, because of a personal
Okay.
conflict, yeah.
Could you introduce yourself and give us your address, please?
Good morning, Michael Frasina, I'm the architect for the owner.
Your address? We
I'm
need-
sorry?
Your address for record.
Oh, my address, 4531 Hollyshire Way, Clay, New York.
Okay. Do you want to run through what you're intending to do?
Sure. As shown on the elevation here, I'll start with the windows. The Gray box is where the windows are located there. In some point in history, over the last 30 years, the stained glass was either broken or removed by vandals. Stolen, yeah.
1998.
And it was replaced at some point with plywood, which had mitzvah towers painted over the top of it. As you're aware, the owner's trying to develop the building. His office is already located in there. So in an effort to keep the building watertight and secure, removed the plywood and had glass put in its place as a measure for those two things. In speaking with Kate about this previously, there was some discussion about how we should best treat this to make it look as close as possible to what would be acceptable. So we started with a filament that matches one of the colors that's in the stained glass that exists. So, excuse me. In terms of the windows, our application is proposing that the locations where the stained glass was removed, we are allowed to replace with glass that has been infilled and use a filament to try to match some of the color. In terms of the doors, there are a couple sets of doors, one on the Montgomery Street side, one on the Jefferson Street side. The Montgomery Street side that we're looking at here has a set of double doors. The Jefferson Street side had a set of double doors with a mullion between there. Yep. The doors on the corner of Jefferson and Montgomery still exist. The doors that are on the Jefferson Street side, 217 Jefferson, were removed and replaced with a temporary measure, again, for security reasons. The owner had the doors given over to a carpenter, and he was going to try to repair them. It turned out that the doors were not solid. They were like several scabbed together pieces of wood. At some point, like, original, I'm guessing, leftovers from whatever they did to build the building. And there was a veneer on top of it. So it was deteriorated beyond the point of repair. So he was going to rebuild them. That gentleman passed away, and his shop was auctioned. Doors no longer exist. So what we have is photos from 11, 13, somewhere around that point, which we're trying to rebuild those doors as closely as possible to what we see in those photos. Yep, those photos there. And we're going to match the materials as closely as possible. We're going to match the design as closely as possible. The exact dimensions we just don't have. The corner doors, we do have the exact dimensions. Those were documented thoroughly, and we are matching those doors one-to-one.
So the doors are gone, but what about the hardware?
As far as I know, there's nothing of the original that existed. And to my knowledge, most of the hardware was removed over the course of 30 years of sitting there. So.
Well, but in these pictures, which you alluded that they're 2011?
I think they're around that
The
age.
hardware's there. You know, the pulls are on the doors, so.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. Julia, I don't know what happened to the hardware. It could have been turned over to that carpenter. I really don't. I can't speak to it. I don't know. All I know is that I don't have possession of them, and I don't know that the owner does.
Question. So is this the door that's replaced with the
Right now, what's existing in that opening is aluminum, is an aluminum frame.
There's a picture of it here.
I'm just trying to understand. Is that the?
That's it. Yes, that's it.
So you're going to replace that?
Correct. Okay. That's a temporary secure door.
And the other doors that were pretty weathered?
Yep.
You're going to replace those as well?
Correct. On the corner.
Are you going to try to use the glass that's in the window?
Anything that we can reuse, we're going to reuse. Yeah. So in terms of this application, that's what we're looking to do.
So the door on Montgomery and Jefferson, the one on the corner,
Mhm.
that's still, the one to the right of the top one, that exists, or is it,
That exists.
and the hardware's there? And then the one on Montgomery
Also exists.
and has the hardware?
Mhm.
So the double doors that you are replicating, that we don't have hardware, are those going to be active doors?
They are going to be active doors.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of hardware are you coming back with?
I have not seen that drawing that was sent directly to you guys. They bypassed me on that, so I think it's included in that, but I'm not positive.
For the hardware as well?
Bob could come up.
Okay, so would you like to come up and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Bob Ryan with Ryan's Windows and Doors, and we're acting as suppliers for this project. What I have is commercial hardware spec for that. It's Hager. I believe I sent over some specs on there.
This, I believe, is,
Correct.
I'll send it around.
Right, I think,
Is that in the?
yeah, that,
Standard commercial hardware, which would be print codes.
Pass that down for Nicole.
yeah.
This came in after.
The one that's circled, Nicole, is the proposed.
Well, the panic hardware is on the interior,
Correct.
so that's not,
If anything's applicable to reuse, of course, we would.
yeah.
Is it a mortise design?
What's that?
Is it a mortise design?
I would assume it's mortise. Is it a mortise lock?
No, it's panic hardware. So it would be a
Oh,
crash
so
bar
it's
to
latch,
the
okay.
interior. And it would be a lever to the exterior with a standard hole. And
Okay.
that may be where we could use the existing pole, possibly. That would,
Well, but they're saying that the existing hardware doesn't exist for those
there's a
doors.
few poles, just the pole in the face of the architect's drawing, like right there. There's a few of those. There might be enough for these doors.
Well, those are on the doors that are going to be
Tower.
redone. So are there extra poles?
I'm not aware. I just know the
Oh,
ones that are there now. There's two of them. If you could use them, that's fine.
No, I'm confused because,
That, forgive me if I'm correct. Well, actually, this needs to be confirmed that the proposal would be to reuse the existing hardware on the, I call them the tower doors.
Right.
On the corner doors. There is no hardware
That's-
remaining so
Understood.
we do need to, I'm sorry, so the board does need to confirm what type of exterior pools,
correct,
what they'll look like. Yeah.
right,
For the 217 Jefferson address, correct?
Correct.
correct.
Yeah, so,
What we're proposing, Ryan's Windows and Doors, the standard commercial hardware that you have there
Understood,
with
understood.
standard black levers. And that would be code, today's code. A lever is just a term.
Well, it's a historic building, so let's talk about the doors, but it's a historic building and poles can also meet,
modern code?
well,
Sure.
it's a fine line that we need to discuss in terms of what it needs to come back on the door. And not necessarily this type of hardware. Panic hardware, that's on the inside the bar, it's what's on the outside.
Right.
That is gonna be of discussion. But why don't we start, why don't you actually give us more information on the door, and then we can have discussion about all the different aspects that are
What we
being
propose
presented.
on the door is a mahogany door that is 2¼ inches thick, which is quite thick for a commercial door. I have a sample of a Sapele mahogany door. That would be for the door. And then the glass would be a leaded glass with assimilated divided light wood bar, mimicking what's there now to the exterior. And I believe in some of the drawings, you have the size of the wood bar on the exterior of the glass and the interior of the glass. And then between the glass, sandwiched between the glass, you would have beaded lead to mimic exactly what's there now.
So is the goal to have all the doors and the hardware the same? I mean, similar?
No, the hardware is completely different, completely separate than the doors. They don't even get ordered with the doors. The hardware can be addressed all by itself.
So
Is that your goal, though?
It's up to the owner what kind of hardware he uses. All I did is give him a price for commercial hardware.
Right.
So what we're approving, or what we're discussing here today are the replacement glazing in the panels above, the doors, the composition of the doors.
And the doors.
Right.
That's correct. So
Right.
there are, the
We can
tower
make
doors. and
comment on the hardware, but that's not necessarily,
The hardware
might
would be
need more.
part of,
Right,
of the whole, yeah.
That could be completely separate than the doors.
right.
Got a few questions, clarifications. On the double set of doors on the 217 address, 2 years ago, we requested drawings to be made of those. Do those exist? And were those followed in these replication of these two sets of doors to be replaced?
No, the drawings do not exist.
Okay.
We have the drawings for the tower, again, what I call the tower doors.
Yes.
We don't have those drawings.
We don't have the tower drawing. do
We do have the
We
tower,
do, but we
yes.
don't on.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. So going back to the 217 doors, both those sets of doors will be fully operational? Acting as French doors or both swinging up? And the hardware is here. They are 2¼ inch thick doors. Those doors are removed to be rebuilt, but that disappeared. Does the glass exist? I don't want to ask the same question again, but that glass is gone?
As far as I know, everything that was associated with those doors, aside, above that horizontal datum,
The transom there?
or below
Yeah.
that horizontal datum is gone.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have the hinges, or this is a whole new set that we're installing?
No, I don't.
So brand new installation in an historic opening. This is the door. This is the hardware. Thank you. You mentioned the beaded glass.
That's the leaded glass between the glass
Okay.
that will mimic what's there.
Okay.
Will the,
before.
yeah, will the leading be, is it true divided light where the leading is?
It's a beaded lead, so that is a leaded, it's true,
It's true divided light
correct.
where
With-
it's
Where it's
leaded.
leaded between the glass. Not
basically, we have
the
a s-
wood part.
No, I'm not talking about the wood, but the glazing has.
That's leaded beaded, that's true.
Okay. So if we would look at, there's another picture that's a close-up. I just want to,
Each individual square is leaded, it's all one piece of leaded glass.
so originally, those are the original, well, the
There's a
lower
good picture
one.
there on the left.
The lower left?
Yeah,
Lower
Right
left.
there,
Yeah.
That's true
Yeah, that's
divided light
correct,
with
leaded,
leading.
correct.
Okay, that's fine.
That's what we propose for between the glass, true divided light, leaded.
But you keep saying between, okay, all right.
Yeah, so you've got a modern
Right.
glass door, but you have that sandwiched inside.
Correct,
And then you have the spacer bar
Is wood to the exterior.
Is wood to the exterior, inside that panel of glass, inside that dual glazing where you have the leaded glass, that has a spacer bar in it, that is what?
No,
But that's just the leading that
that's
fills
just the
that?
leading.
Okay. Okay.
So there's leading here, and these are true divided light. This is simulated wood on either side with the oleo stick, right? There's a section that shows it.
Right here.
Yes. And that's the only piece that is, so is that clear to everybody? That
Everyone,
the
yeah.
wood is simulated on top of the glass.
There's a separate picture of the
Right.
wood.
Yeah, we have this section here. showing-
Correct. That would be wood,
Right, there you go, right there.
Right there.
and that would be sapele mahogany to match the stiles and rails of the door.
And the width of that,
It's 7/8 of an inch.
does that match the doors that are existing?
I would have to look.
The tower doors?
Right.
So that's
Don't
what I'm
have that
asking, is that the goal would be, because they were all made at the same time, the goal would be that they match
Consistency, yeah.
with the thickness of that.
I'm sorry, can I clarify what you just said? Do you mean that the goal would be that all of the doors match, or that the,
Well,
okay,
we're trying to match the doors. I mean, obviously,
yeah. But the doors themselves match to each other.
Oh.
So that's what I'm asking.
that's assumed, yes, that they would match. That they're, the double doors, I mean, they should,
Yes.
the leaves should match.
Oh, yeah, the leaves should match, absolutely. No, I got that.
Okay. Other comments regarding the doors?
I'd like to ask about the tower doors that are existing. Can you speak to the current condition of those and whether or not you've looked into restoring what's there?
Yeah, same situation as the doors that were at 217. It's several just kind of scab, it's not plywood, it's just wood that was adhered together at some point with a veneer put over the top of it, deteriorated beyond the point of being able to fix it. That was our original intent, was to be able to fix it, fix both of those, and restore them, but it's just not possible. As soon as you start restoring it, they're gonna fall apart. It's strange, given the construction of that building, that those doors are not solid, but
Are you speaking to like it's finger jointed? All the substrate of that door is all
you repeat that?
is all finger jointed Doug fir that just has like an oak veneer on it? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's kind of typical construction, right? Since those, did you have, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the veneer is quarter sawn oak here, or what is the veneer?
sorry?
The veneer on the existing doors is mahogany? Is that why you chose the mahogany, or what is the veneer on the existing
I
doors?
don't know.
I quoted mahogany.
Okay,
Mahogany lasts longer and it doesn't flake like the oak doors did.
okay, but it was oak before.
But the original doors were mahogany, the veneer?
I was told they were oak.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
one picture that looks like quarter sawn oak.
Yeah. Are you able to utilize any of the details of the existing doors on the tower? Or are those are getting,
We're trying to mimic exactly what's there.
so,
On the leaded glass, as far as 2 wide, 15 high, or,
yeah, I'm not
it's a
sure what,
beaded lead.
aside from the lead, but these wooden details,
This, basically the sticking.
yeah, I'm not sure what
What we're proposing is a standard simulated divided light bar. It wouldn't have
like those flares.
it would not have that, no.
And on these doors, are we retaining the historic handles?
On the hardware, like I said, we can try to use what's there, if anything's there to be used. But right now, I'm just proposing commercial hardware.
Well, that hardware's there. If this picture is from
Recent, yeah.
recent,
Excuse me, the hardware?
yeah.
We're talking about the
The
tower
the
doors.
tower doors.
Yeah.
So we've,
I'm proposing new hardware, commercial panic hardware. I'm not sure if you could use that, if it's usable, that would be up to
Well,
the
as
installer.
As poles, you can use the poles.
If it matches with the hardware to the interior. Everything has to play together to work, of course.
But I guess in my opinion, it would be,
It's nice that the poles are there, and if we could reuse them, that would be fine.
yeah, I mean, part of historic preservation is retaining historic
fabric.
fabric that it exists. So as we're looking at this, we see the photo that that component still exists, so we'd like to keep it and retain it and transfer it to the
Sure.
new section, the new installation, the doors. So that's kind of
If that could
a
work with,
hiccup.
if that could work with the panic hardware that I'm proposing, that would be fine.
Okay, is there other panic hardware that is out there that works
I would have to
with-
research that. I'm more familiar with the doors than the hardware.
Understood, but there's still an option out there that possibly could reuse the existing poles with a new panic handle on the interior.
I think if we had lock people to look into that, we might be able to find something that works.
Okay.
So can you, looking at the sticking, and I'm calling it the sticking in terms of in the glazing,
Sure.
if that can be salvaged, because what you're saying is that what you're coming back with will not match that. But if that can be salvaged in the doors, that would be something that would be,
That would be something that I'm not quoting.
pardon?
All I can propose is what we can build new. I can't take the existing glass and build the doors.
I'm not saying take the glass, I'm talking about the sticking around
The
the glass.
STL bars? Sure, I can mimic as close as we could to that.
Or can you reuse what's existing in your new doors?
No, I cannot.
Will these doors be retained on site by the owner? I would request that. Okay,
I was just going to say, we're still in
We're
the
still in
public
the dis-
comment.
Yes, we're in
part,
a
so,
comment period, and
before
I haven't
the
closed it yet.
deliberation.
Other comments from the board?
And this is just the doors, then you can move on to the
Pardon?
window. And this is just the doors, and then you can move on to the windows.
Right. Additional comments about the doors?
So I would just like to clarify on the doors, looking at the drawings, they don't appear to be one-to-one for the tower doors with what we have, and I just want to clarify, jumping off, Julia, what you had said about the sticking. So the more decorative curves at the very top on the existing doors are not retained in the new doors. So at the very peak of, down. Yes. So those, I think if you scroll down one more, you might be able to see.
Yeah.
So at the very top, those curves will
that-
not be retained in the
that-
new,
They're not being replicated.
they're not being replicated.
Yeah, those OG scrolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's the application of that, kind of like the capital.
That will not be
Capital,
retained.
yep, that is all
Okay.
gone. And not able to be applied, as he stated.
We're doing the best we can with the mahogany bars to keep the pattern of the existing doors.
comments. Let's move on to the glazing at the upper floor. Can you explain what's there and
Yeah, so they were custom cut glass to fit that opening with with an application, a color application over the top of it.
the color application is a film?
It's a film.
Okay.
Yep.
On the inside or the,
Inside.
okay.
Yep. Interior side.
That's just a
there's
single-
not much to talk about.
There's
It's pretty
just a
much it.
single pane of glass
Yeah,
that's got a film on the inside to give it that tint
correct.
that was picked up off of the hues of the existing stained glass.
Yeah, and obviously it's not just yellow stained glass. There's orange, there's red, but from the interior side of the building, the main hue that you see come through is yellow.
So a question to Kate. This didn't come before the board previously, so this work
Completed.
was completed when?
Yeah, I think within the last maybe 18 months or so,
That sounds right.
the work was completed. Not all of the windows have been replaced. There's only, at this point, there's a selection that have got the clear glass with the tint on
So
them.
was there a stop work order?
There was.
'Cause there was no
not-
approval.
Well, right, there has been, the applicant is unable to move forward with the major site plan review, right? This major site plan review until getting through the certificate of appropriateness process, and this was added to no more windows were replaced.
So how many windows have been replaced out of how many of the total that needed to be replaced?
If you scroll down on that sheet, yeah, so the image on the left-hand side there, it's those, yeah, there you go. It's the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, those mainly, and I think a couple on the other side of that.
And then the remainder, and you can see in the drawing which windows they were talking
reference
So
about.
there's
Yeah,
a
the
few upper
reference.
ones, and then there's the Montgomery Street side.
Right.
So I guess I want to understand how many have been replaced out of how many are there.
I think on the Windows survey, there are, well, just counting this, there are 40,
Okay.
and I believe
16?
something like that have been replaced.
It's the,
16.
it's at the bottom, the bottom left,
Bottom left.
12,
Yeah.
and then 4 on the right-hand side of that 217 door,
On the bottom.
on the bottom.
So basically the bottom ones have been switched out, not the upper.
Yeah, I don't believe the ones closest to the tower doors on the bottom have been switched out yet. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure they haven't.
Comments from the board?
Have you looked at any historic imagery of what those center panels look like?
Well, you don't need historic imagery. I mean, the ones right next to the windows on either side of some of those they still exist.
Are they operable?
At one point, probably, but
Awning windows?
they are casements.
What you have replaced are casements, but do you know if the original ones were awning? Were they operable?
Yes, and I believe that
As hopper or awning windows? 'Cause they
Awning.
wouldn't, okay, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have been casement.
no, at the bottom, those were
Okay.
awnings.
I
And
think
and
that's-
I don't know if they still operate, the ones that exist.
Okay.
I think that's actually why they were easily removed, is that they were the operable
Yeah.
panels.
There are panels that can pop out. So my question, if there's any that exist,
Well, he's saying these exist.
Yeah, you can see it in the photos.
Well, I see that in the drawing here, but, so to then just insert, this building is very vertically inspired.
Yes.
This fenestration is pointing up, each one is pointing up. And then we have this infill panel that kind of is just a square.
Yep.
So to me, that's my comment right now before we discuss, but it's distorting of the facade's fenestration patterns.
Yeah, the photo on the left, you can see the existing
Yeah, there it
versus
is,
what's been replaced.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the darkness kind of stands out. I wonder if there's a different tint or color of glass that would disappear a little bit better.
It's just a film, so that just apply it on the inside too.
Can I know the owner is not here. On the walkthrough that the board did back in 2023, I do remember that the owner was, there are offices, if I'm not mistaken, in those, in where they have been replaced, and that there was a desire to be able to see
outside.
out.
Yeah, the ones that were replaced already were where there's activity. So it was merely just so people don't get rained on.
Are those new panels operable or are they fixed?
Fixed.
Any intention for operation or no?
I don't have the answer to that question.
Any other comments? I'm going to close the, no?
Ask if there's anyone here to
Oh,
speak in
right.
favor.
We missed him. Is anyone here who opposes? Or actually, first, anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Any others? Anyone else who likes to speak in opposition? Not, I will close the comment period. And now the board can deliberate. And make.
Could I sit, or do you want me to?
You can sit.
Okay.
If we have questions, you can answer from there as well.
Speak into the microphone, Owen, and answer so everyone picks it up.
Okay.
So I'm just looking at this, breaking it down as to, you know, window selection, doors, and then hardwares are three primaries, right?
Correct.
So the doors, we just saw what's being replaced, and it's not being able to be saved. I would like to see the historic doors retained on site. All components, I think I would be in favor of, since I'm hearing that hinges, everything will be completely removed, and we have, you know, bronze hinges, all that is there, but it's all going to be removed and basically a new door installed in its place. The design of the door, they're infilling it, so it's fitting the historic opening, which is nice, but it's a little diminished on the design of the original doors, but it's picking up on its main characters. Again, to me, this is vertically inspired. And so,
As far as the hardware, I would,
haven't gotten there yet.
but you were saying for the existing doors to retain them and their hardware.
Yes.
And some of that hardware.
Some of the hardware should
Okay.
be, yeah, give me just a second.
Okay.
Thank you, though. So with the new doors, understanding that it's going to be possibly mahogany for durability versus oak, I'm fine with that, as long as we've got the same color across the facade. We do have black windows, correct, on the building? They're
Black windows?
black vinyl windows on the upper stories?
Oh, you mean
Right.
up above?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just looking at, you know,
Yep.
how the facade presents.
Yep.
So that, to me, I understand that. The door hardware, if it appears to exist in the photos that were provided in the application, and so I would, in all favor of retaining and reusing where and when possible. Speaking on the tower doors specifically, the doors at 217 in the center, off-center of the building, that's brand-new doors, brand-new hardware that's required. going to the hardware, with the hardware, I'd like to see something different than what's being proposed, and that's my opinion. I think could be something better, more historic looking to complement the building and not recreate something, but something that's more compelling and competing with the, not competing with the building, but complementing the building. The windows, they again, looking at the fenestration of the building and the orientation of the building, it blocks that vertical design. So if there's something that can be added or changed out on those panels to make it less square form and more rectangular to draw the eye up, I would like to explore that option. Hillary's comment about how they're dark. It's just a film, so maybe we could have them look at a couple of different options of film that blend better within the facade. Again, that's my opinion. I'd like to hear what others think about that.
Yes, I'm on board with the door replacements. I would like to see the hardware, the pulls brought from the existing doors and reused in the new doors. And yeah, like Jeff just said, I think if we could look at other film options on the windows, something that would look a little less blocky in the existing openings, that would be good. And yeah, anything that gets removed, store on site or preserve in some way so we at least have it to look at later.
I do have a question of you, where are the accessible entrances to the building? Because this is not considered an accessible entrance, correct? Right, so I think further study in terms of the hardware and accessible entrances are warranted, because although accessibility doesn't necessarily mean only wheelchair access, but pulls are allowed, and I think you need to converse with a hardware specialist in terms of using other types of hardware with your panic hardware. We don't have, or at least I don't have an issue with panic hardware that would be necessary from the inside, and I know that it can be coordinated with historic hardware. So that would be my comment. And I would like to emphasize the comment that you brought up. We talked about the panel glazing, and if there's a way in which, and it's really by changing the configuration. Right now it's very square, and there's a verticality to the building, and there's a verticality in the windows above and below, and one could look to divide that panel so that you can create that verticality. So it would reduce, whether it's a glazing with simulated sticking, or it's panel, I don't know, but that's something that you have to explore. Because right now, I think the panels are negative, in my opinion, to the facade. And I know that the pictures are difficult in terms of the amber color and seeing it based on the light of day, so I think that there's a good attempt there, and we probably need to see it on site, but I think the configuration of the panel should be modified. No, and actually it works as a negative to you right now, because you're seeing, we're seeing glare, and you don't have that in the panes above and below because they're so intricate. But there's certainly the configuration in terms of on either side, you know, it draws the eye up if that could be introduced in this panel to change the shape of the glazing.
Just even match, like, I was just looking at, I'm not sure what page this is, but I was just looking here, even if you,
That's, yeah, my drawing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On the sides of
It's
each panel.
basically creating the border, and I don't
creating
know
like a 3-inch edge or whatever that dimension is.
Yeah.
whether that is actually glazing or if it's part of the pan
Here, go back
of
up.
the frame.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, one more up.
No, that's, well, no, you can't, well, yeah, so that's,
And then-
that picture's turned.
Can you turn
If you
it?
can rotate it?
Yeah. Keep going. One more. I think, oh, no, sorry, one back.
Took that datum, sorry,
Don't touch.
and then brought that through this new panel to create these narrow panels on either side that starts to bring that line through the whole window system that's there.
And what actually might help, but it would have to be tested if the glazing was actually sandblasted or etched. Because sandblasted or etched, the glazing itself, because the reflection, well, the existing glass is not, it's not clear. Correct?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. But I think the glare on the windows, the reflection on the windows also works to the detriment of the entire facade. So I don't have to come up with the solution. You have to.
Right.
Other comments?
Question, I guess, for the group. If I make those recommendations to the owner, and then he goes through the process and the expense of testing one of those, bring it back to you, because I don't want to recommend that he does that for the entire building unless we have some kind of approval from you guys, right?
If he wants to set up a test, do a test, and we can do a site visit?
Which we would hold this open.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the other question of that is, you need the door, like, priority now is get the doors, because we can hold that open.
You can condition.
Right,
that
Right,
right.
okay.
You can, or you can approve in part and deny in part the application. So if you wanted to deny the windows as they are with the understanding it'll come back with an alternative, you could do that so that the applicant could move forward with the.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to satisfy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like the board doesn't have an issue with the doors. I don't want to speak for him, what comments there, so we can move forward with that. And then looking to explore options of the hardware, and then either hold open the windows or deny the windows. Sounds like where the board would be going. I don't want to speak for everybody, but
Well-
basic comment.
May I have a motion on this application? And then it will,
Well, my motion would reflect what I just said, so
well,
Say it again.
I will make a motion.
We don't have to think that over.
yes, you do.
I will make a motion to, one, accept the doors as submitted with the caveat of retaining the historic doors on site, including hardware.
Slowly, doors on site.
Doors on site, including the hardware that is not reused.
Okay.
Understanding, we would like the existing door pulls and back plates, is what they're called? Escutcheon backplate to be retained and possibly reused on new doors. hardware component, I would like to deny the hardware as submitted and ask for,
On the new doors.
on the new doors, yes. And they're all new doors.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, on the, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's okay, just making sure everything's
Yeah.
clear. Deny the application on the hardware and ask them to revisit with a more appropriate styled hardware based on historic evidence. And 3, glass. I could, in my mind, I'd like to hold it open and do have an exploratory installation done based on our comments today, or you direct me, Kate, if I should deny that as well.
I think, I believe it would be cleaner to
deny
just
and then they
deny
come back.
the windows as proposed.
Okay.
Understanding that
With the-
the applicant can,
With the request, okay,
well,
so,
yes,
All
the
right.
applicant could come back with a new version. I'm sorry, just let me
So-
think this through.
yeah, so part 3, glass window infill, I will deny
As submitted.
as submitted, based on conversation and comment from the board. I'd like the owner to explore those comments and possibly set up a site visit once one is chosen and we have one install that the board can come see for color and design, or trying to think of the proper word for what we're looking at.
So I have a question regarding
Well,
that.
I wouldn't be specific on that.
Yeah,
That's-
color and design.
I have a question regarding that.
Well, we're in the middle of a
Okay.
motion. Is
Is
that
that-
your
is that your
motion?
motion?
That's my motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion or modifications to the motion?
Just clarification. They can still move forward on the doors.
Yes, sir.
All in favor of the motion?
Actually,
Oh,
discussion.
Any,
Is there any further
any
discussion?
discussion beyond your
But
question?
you, I'm sorry,
Oh.
but.
Yes. So in terms of those windows, that site visit to view whatever we decide that we're going to do, would that be pre or post new application? And would that then take the place of this type of hearing, or would we have to do that twice? Meaning, I say, Tom, here's what you're going to do. I email Kate, say, we got to get a site visit, and then we submit an application? Or is the expectation that we submit an application, you go review, and then approve or deny? I guess I'm asking for the process.
I think that it would make sense if you mocked something up and the board came to review it, and if everything was, well, actually, it would still need to go through a public hearing. It would still need a public hearing.
My preference would be that public hearing happen after you guys come to
Yeah,
take a look at
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
so there would be a site visit, and we would need to make sure that there wasn't a quorum, that this was just an opportunity for the board to be able to review it, and then there would be the
Okay.
public hearing.
Thank you.
Afterwards.
That's what I
Yes,
needed to know.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? I'm abstaining because I've
Yep.
recused myself. The motion passes. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And then he just,
Oh, discussion. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we do. We're not done. That's right. We're not done. Sorry. Whew, I'd forgotten all about that. Yeah. Thank you. I was like, no, they did have discussion.
yes, that worked.
All right, so the last piece is, oh,
Don't
oh, yeah,
forget your
take your
sample.
mahogany. Yes. Thank you.
You as well, thank you.
Okay, so the last piece of discussion is about administrative approvals. The new preservation ordinance gives the board the ability to delegate to the secretary of the board, that's me, the administrative review authority pertaining to certain project types. So in 2010, can't believe it was 2010, the board granted staff the ability to review and approve the following types of projects. So it was, and I included those in the staff report, basically in-kind replacement or repair projects that involve no material change, including roof repair or replacement, same color material, no change in form, exterior painting, as long as it's in the same tone sort of family, window repair, storm window installation, shutter repair, window shutter repair, repair of front, back sidewalks, front steps, and porches involving no change in material, location, or layout, repaving of driveways, again, no change in location, and so forth. So fencing was another one that, and believe me, you'd be happy not to receive the fencing. Okay.
In kind and same location.
That's right. And then new fencing involving, also approving new fencing involving the removal of non-conforming fencing and replacing it with something that did conform, meaning, taking away vinyl fencing, vinyl fencing and installing wood. Okay, and then to that list, as long as that still meets the board's approval, I'd like to also add some additional ones. This would be in regard to non-contributing properties within districts, alterations to non-contributing structures within preservation districts that will have no impact on the historic character of the surrounding district. And that would really be in regard to the sort of the building envelope. If there was actually new construction that
Then it would come to
then
the
it
board.
would come, they would come back to the board. Right. Signage, and this would be commercial signage that is going in sort of the traditional locations, if you will, like in the sign band, or you're reusing existing hanging sideware, hardware, signware. But of course, it would all need to conform with the zoning. And then we also had this come up, and actually it's come up more than once, a mature tree removal and replacement. That if that tree is contributing to, this was, for example, a tree that's in Berkeley Park or in Sedgwick that is part of part of the designation, part of the character defining feature of a property, that if that tree was shown to be diseased and needed to be replaced, the staff could review and approve that as long as it was being replaced by a tree that had a similar form and habit. And then I attached with that just showing what the approval looks like. Everyone is still required to submit a certificate of appropriateness. It's just, it doesn't come for a public hearing. And then I do use, obviously, the Secretary of the Interior standards to justify the approval.
The only clarification, I have no problem with all of this. The only clarification I want to just, it would be an odd thing, but a non-conforming property within a district, an existing, for example, an existing garage being converted into an
ADU.
Should probably come before, one would think.
Yeah, it's a change
So,
of
I mean,
use.
right,
Cha-
because it's a change of use, so
Yeah. And
not to
Yes.
make it more complicated, but even though it's a non-conforming
Right.
structure
Yeah.
or structures in a district, but now they've changed the use, I think it should
come in front.
because more than likely with an an example of a garage, if it becomes an ADU, the garage door might become a door, a man door, infill, new window. I mean,
Yeah,
it kind of,
it's a major project. So
Yeah.
it's got a major impact on the parcel and on the neighborhood, on the district.
On the
Maybe
adjacent-
what,
Yeah.
how it could be is if something like that would require that would be a minor site plan review.
think about it. I mean, I'm just throwing it out
So,
there. that
yeah,
it's
let's-
something to
Because
consider
usually the
because
board
it's
does
new to
not
s-
deal with use, like
Yeah.
except
Okay.
how it impacts
Okay,
the exterior of
So,
a.
right, so
So-
figure out how that gets
We'll,
worded, but
maybe we'll,
I
we'll,
think because ADUs are new to the city.
yes, and it looks like we're having another one coming up too.
Okay,
So,
that would be
Which will
my,
be a conversion of a garage.
my comment.
So
I don't know if
interesting.
the rest of
But,
the board
yeah.
Within a
would
district.
agree, or, I mean, I have no problem, because we've talked, but I
Yeah,
have no problem
yeah.
with the other,
Yeah. Okay.
and with the additional, but I just think that that might present, because it affects the adjacent
Property
properties.
owners, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right,
I would agree with that.
okay.
I have one question, clarification on the mature tree removal
Mm-hmm.
and replacement. Should there be a caveat added of having a professional look at it, or are we just taking the owner's word for it?
Yes, no, I
Yes.
agree. I think
You know, a
because that would be
certified arborist?
required,
Yeah.
that would be required for your review time. I mean, that would, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. It's just not
Yep.
mentioned, but it's assumed.
No, and I agree with that, though.
Yeah.
We are not arborists.
Certified arborist.
Okay, certified.
So, does
Thank you
that,
for that, Kate.
thank you, does that take care of everything? Because.
As long as that, and perhaps we could have, actually, you might want to vote on that too.
That-
Yeah,
Okay.
so that we can have the resolution approving those things
So
and it can be
can
part
I
of the record.
have a motion based on the discussion for administrative approvals? Could someone make that motion?
I'll make the motion to accept as submitted with the addition of adding and number 5 at the mature trees, a report from a certified arborist. And what section?
Modify 3.
Thank you. Number 3, non-conforming structures modify to add ADU, existing garage conversions to ADU.
Existing, I'll make a modification if I may. Well, it needs to, shall we second?
All in support, oh, yeah.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any modifications? The modification I would make is not to call it a garage, but to call it a.
Secondary
Secondary
structure or
structure.
outbuilding, yeah.
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 How's that?
Additional living
If it's
space.
converted to an ADU,
Yeah.
whatever the secondary is, whether it's a garage or a barn or,
Can I ask a clarification on that?
yes.
Is there a difference in terminology between secondary structure, outbuilding? Is there a hierarchy in that?
Not in our zoning language,
Okay. Thank you.
so,
Yeah, it's just accessory structure. in the zoning
accessory.
code.
So we'll call it accessory
Accessory
structure.
Why don't we-
Accessory
Yeah,
structure.
just
is
to
what
Would
stay-
we
you
call it.
agree
Yeah.
that, to add accessories?
Yeah, I just wanted to define that term as being consistent.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Great,
you.
thank you.
Great job, Kate.
Thank you.
But if you retire, we gotta make sure who the other person is
That's
who
right,
gets
I'm only
the-
25.
Wait.
I'm going to be here for a long time.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
We need a second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
We are
Thanks,
adjourned.
everyone.
Don't retire.
I know I have this here, but I'm doing it for.
Well, it just, it's, seriously, in terms of, we.
It is